Welcome back to Media7. The face of fashion in the news media is generally one of glamour and goodie bags, but a new book, Pricing Beauty, The Making of a Fashion Model, tells a different story. In this special report, Sarah Daniel talks to its author, who knows personally that of which she speaks.
Modelling is what sociologists call a structurally bad job, meaning it's precarious in many ways.
When I turned 19, I was advised to lie about my age to say that I was 18. And this gave me a clue, a pretty strong one right away, that this wasn't going to be a long-term viable career option.
Ashley Mears, former top model turned sociologist, has written a Photoshop-free report on the realities of the industry.
But the problem is that for every winner, all of the Giselles and the Kate Mosses, they obscure and they mask the working conditions for the majority of people who enter the market, which indeed are quite meager earnings.
And no wonder the models can't eat. The pay packets are emaciated.
The most desirable jobs, the most prestigious jobs, pay some of the smallest sums of money. Some of the editorials that you see in the high-status fashion magazines, they may pay nothing or they pay only $100 or $200 a day. Similarly with the catwalk shows that are wrapping up now with Fashion Week, some of the most prestigious shows may pay models in trade, meaning gifts of clothing.
So while the media is falling over itself for the goodie bags, are we missing the real story? I asked former Ford's model Amanda Bansgrove.
I would say that the money is very low to start off with for a career in modelling, and a model might work for a couple of years without earning any money. And then our top working models may be on a low to mid income at their peak of their career. So
is it true that a model has to be that skinny as the industry suggests, to look decent?
I have only a few girls that fit the A market thinness, and then I've got a big pool of real girls that are still size 8 and size 10, but they're not deemed as being editorial thin. They still, if they wanted to move into that market, they still would have to lose a little bit more weight.
The models are incredibly thin, especially at the high end if they're competing for luxury brand campaigns, because the aesthetic that is valued is one that is very thin. In part, they're so slender because they're also very young. So when I did interviews with women or girls, I found that when they entered the market at the age of, say, 14, 16, even 17, they embodied that aesthetic no problem. The problem arises when they begin to mature into adult bodies at the age of, say, 20 or 22. And especially for women, this age-body relationship makes it very difficult to hold on to a very stringent standard of a 34-inch hip measurement.
Well, if we're lucky and we find, scout a young girl and she's 14, that's probably a good time to start them off with the odd fashion show. Her career's only really going to last a decade to 15 years.
So all those beautiful young women vying for the crown of the next top model would have a better chance at being an astronaut.
I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this.
The thing with America's Next Top Model and all of the top model shows, they're great entertainment. However, they purport to debunk the industry, to show us what it's really like backstage. But really what those shows do is they reproduce the excitement and the glamour and reproduce the sense that this is a type of market that if you work hard enough, you can achieve success in.
I am so going to embrace this, so hardcore, you have no idea.
And I think that is a dangerous myth.
So the story so far, modelling is a good option if you're aged 14 to 20, you're tall, you don't mind being paid in snacks and clothing, and you're white.
The look that is valued in high fashion tends to be very slim and tends to be very white. So it works like this. Clients would say, we would love to get a black model in our show or in our advertisement, but they're just not the right look. They don't have the right high-end aesthetic that we're looking for. Occasionally there will be one particular model that breaks through, and especially if she's been championed by other high-end cultural producers in the luxury brand houses, then everybody will jump on her and she becomes the kind of token model of difference, or the token that everybody is comfortable using.
There is a bias to a New Zealand / Australian European look. We would love to see more Māori women and boys, African American, Africans, Pan Asians, Asian girls, absolutely, bring them on. But at the end of the day, no matter what culture they come from, they still must have the ideal, accreditation of becoming a model, which is height, good bone structure, good nose for photography.
And there's also too many aspiring models and not enough jobs.
The oversupply is quickening. It's speeding up because of globalization and the rise of internet and digital technologies. Since the 1990s, the industry has witnessed a proliferation of model scouts who are able to scour the world. Typically, they're going into poor countries in, say, Latin America and Eastern Europe and Russia, where young girls are deemed to have the right look that is in demand in the West. And oftentimes there are limited economic opportunities for these girls, and there's travel and communication is so much easier for them to arrive in New York, London, Milan, and Paris and compete for this very small pot of work.
I relied on my beauty all of my life, and I've got to say that got me into a lot of dodgy situations. It set me up to fall, and it got me through to my late 20s, not really knowing what was beyond the look.
My ideal reader would be a teenager who's thinking of entering the market, or perhaps a parent of a young person who's thinking of going into the market. In particular, someone who's thinking of entering the market and giving up or putting on hold a safer bet like education. I think that hopefully someone would read my book and think twice about doing that. Hopefully.
Sarah Daniel with sociologist and former model Ashley Mears and agent Amanda Bansgrove. Now, let's tarry a little longer with glamour and debauchery. Yes, the New Zealand Music Awards was staged last week, and while there were tunes played and gongs awarded, sometimes it really seemed to be about random acts of verbal inanity from a string of celebrity presenters. Exhibit A.
JJ,
Yes.
why have you got us standing at the back of the stage when you were up front under the spotlight?
This is an awesome trick I learned from Jason Kerrison of Op Shop. You have the best looking members of the group at the front of the stage and the ugly ones at the back.
Wow,
We better swap places then.
Out of the way, ugly.
And that's why we drink at these things. And that's our show. Thanks to Toby Manhire and Simon Wilson, and to you for watching. We'll be back at the same time next week with a special Media7 from that annual screen shindig, the Sparta Conference. Until then, goodbye.